Well, I don't have to tell you, but I'm pretty excited about chatting with this guy. We spoke briefly at Calgary a bunch of years ago, but I got Ross Rollerball Pederson here. Hey, by the way, how many Pederson? What do people say? Does it bug you?
It doesn't bug me. I've been called both, and I've been called a lot worse. So call me Pederson, and that's how I grew up. So
you grew up Pederson?
Yes.
Oh, for goodness sake! You heard it here, guys.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, we're here at the Vet Vintage at Gopher Dunes. What an event they put together, man. Who got a hold of you initially? Like, talk about how this started to get you here for this.
All right. Well, you know, the talk was in the rumors a year or two ago, and we talked about it. But really, my old mentor and sponsor, former sponsor with Yamaha Motor Canada, Lawrence Hacking, who is an icon in the sport himself, talked about having an event here, and we chatted about it, and I was honored to be welcomed here and brought here. And to be honest with you, I would compare the last night with winning a Montreal or Toronto Supercross. Those are some of my highlights in my career, those 7 or 8 wins. So last night it was an honor to see guys that I haven't seen in 20 and 30 years, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And we've got some great people in the sport, and we need to keep making this happen. And yeah.
All right, well, Ross, I've been joking about this with myself for the past few days. I ask everybody that used to race in the 80s, early 90s and stuff the same question. Now I'm going to ask you, what's your best Ross Pederson story?
My best Ross Pederson story? Well, geez. I mean, that's hard to say. Probably my best Ross Pederson story would be my best moments. I mean, I can't tell you anything bad I've ever done, because I don't think I've ever done anything bad. But,
look at that look.
That'll tell you something. So anyways, some of my highlights in my career were probably winning down in Montreal in front of the Quebec fans. As I've said before, the Quebec fans are very passionate and involved in the sport, so winning down there was always number one, and I got a lot of great friends down there. And of course, the Toronto Supercross was, when you're racing in front of thousands of people and fans, it's a big deal. So, and just to be brought down here to be involved in this function here with the Schusters, and I got to thank Frank for putting this on, and Derek, and what they've done with Lawrence, his involvement is extraordinary, and we need more of this in the motocross field. And maybe my highlight today, I'll tell you, was meeting that new champ, Dylan Wright. He's the next. If I can be so bold to say this, he's the next Ross Pederson. He's going to win some national championships and dominate for a long time. He's a hell of a rider.
Nice. I got that great shot of you guys kind of high-fiving or knuckling there at that last lap when you guys were up there. Yeah, I got the photo.
That is so cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was out there riding with one arm beside me, and I had both arms going on the handlebars and trying to keep up with him, and he's trying to high-five me, and I was scared to take one hand off the bars. So, yeah, he's a heck of a rider.
At least he gave you the clutch side. You could take your clutch hand off.
Yeah, that was always nice of him. Yeah.
Hey, I got to ask you, Bill Petro, of course, old friend of yours. I mean, all these old photos we see are his.
Gosh.
He couldn't be here, but he wants to have something to add to your biography on his site, the Legends of Canadian Motocross and stuff. So you answered like Montreal and Toronto were kind of some of your highlights. Talk about racing in the States and stuff. Like you raced guys like Bob Hanna, for goodness sake. Like who were guys that you think of, and some of the battles? You know what I mean? Who was your toughest guy out there?
My toughest guy was my competitor and maybe my best friend down in the U.S., Jimmy Hollywood Holly.
Oh, nice.
I mean, Jimmy and I, we were ferocious competitors. We were both.
And he showed up in Canada all the time.
Yeah, he did, and I showed up down there, and we always seemed to be close to one another during the race, and we battled it out all the time, and it was a pleasure to deal with them, and yeah, I would have to say Jimmy Holly was my fierce competitor. Of course, there was some great riders down there, you know, the Hannas, Hollies, Wards, Johnsons, Glovers, Barnetts. You know, there was some icons down there.
Yeah, you raced in the time when there were like 5 guys that were
that could win the race.
Yeah.
That could win the race. That's right. I raced in an era that was maybe second to none. Maybe maybe we won't see that again. I mean, but it was certainly extraordinary.
Nice. Now I got to ask you. Okay, so what keeps you busy these days, Ross? What's up?
Well, life is a lot more mundane now than it was back in racing.
Yeah, so I heard some stories last night, I would say.
Okay, well, you know, 15 years of professional motocross traveling the world. It was a pretty good gig I had going there for a while. You know, making a lot of money and traveling the world. It doesn't really get any better, you know, and but there's life after motocross, and that's when you got to bear down and get back to the basics. And I keep busy now working for Transit Paving in Medicine Hat, and it's the top paving company there, and I haul equipment for them, and when I'm not hauling equipment, I drive dump truck for them. So it's a little different world for me, not as exciting, but I get a lot of satisfaction out of it. At the end of the day, when I put 8 hours in, I'm satisfied.
Nice. Now, I know okay, you pass through, or you see a sign for Mount Albert, Ontario, you think of Doug Hoover. Is there a sign at Medicine Hat, say, home of Ross Pederson or not? Come on.
No, none that I'm aware of. There's no sign there.
I know it's got the world's biggest teepee, but it doesn't have...
That's right. Yeah, everybody knows about the world's biggest teepee. It's fairly impressive. It is a large teepee, but yeah, there's no sign saying home of Ross Pederson. But, you know, Mount Albert's got to be proud of Doug. Doug was an incredible rider. He was a journeyman of his trade and a national champion in his own right, and was a fierce competitor, but also a good friend, and we're still good friends. We snow bike together, we travel together, and Doug's always been, and his family, Barb and Owen, are always a pleasure to be with.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I wanted to, speaking of Jim Holly, is he more gentleman or Hollywood?
Well, it depends on what part of the track you're on. If you're on the podium with him at the end of the day, he's Gentleman Jim. But if you're on the track, he's Hollywood, and he's going for any way to win. And he's a fierce competitor, and he's an honorable competitor. And Jimmy is he's taught me a lot, and he's tutored me a lot. And Jimmy is he's my hero.
Nice, man. That's cool to hear. Hey, okay, so if this thing becomes an annual thing, is this something you'd love to come back to? Again, I was talking to other guys. We got to get some more of the West Coast guys, maybe some all the way. We had some from the East and Quebec and stuff, but what do you think?
Can we get you here again? Idea. I love that idea. That's the negative about Canada, and the only negative about Canada is, damn, it's so big. I mean, you know, I wished it was a little more of a compact country. However, it isn't. So it's tough, but I think if we had one every couple of years, and we work on it and have different locations across Canada, all the guys, I'll tell you what, wherever we have it next year, if it's Montreal or St. John or Calgary or Vancouver, all the guys that were here this year will be at the next one, because we had such a good time. There were so many stories. It went on till all hours, and I'm looking forward to the next event.
All right, okay, last question. I'm sorry, I keep thinking of things as you're talking. I just saw you go out on the electric bike that Serge Gregor had there, and I caught the words you said when you first got off the thing, but talk about that. I mean, there's obviously it's a pretty dividing topic, the electric bike, but what do you think?
Wow, incredible linear power. You know, there's no gears, so you can start off and throwing a rooster tail 5 feet tall, and you can go 100 yards across the field, and you're still accelerating, and the rooster tail is still flying off the back wheel 5 feet tall. And at that point, 100 yards later, you're probably doing about 120 mile an hour. So, yeah, and as I came back, my words were, this thing is scary. It's scary fast.
You had it at 50 horsepower. I think it goes up to 80.
Wow. I'm glad I only had 50 horsepower because that thing was, it was scary enough. However, when I did see the new national champ on it, Dylan Wright, he went across the field, looked about the same as he was driving away, throwing that rooster tail, but when he made the U-turn at the end of that 100 yards, he popped the front wheel up and carried that for the whole 150 yards across the whole field. So he would be a better ambassador on that bike than I would. It scared me. For him, it was something natural.
Awesome, man. Hey, well, Ross, it's an honor to talk to you, man. Anybody who was around in those days, I mean, for some reason, I always say 33-time champ, but I heard 43. Do you have any idea how many championships you won?
Well, it depends if you're adding, you know, back in the day it was CMAC champs, and then near the end of my career there was a couple different bodies involved in
Gotcha.
sport. So there
It all counts.
CMRC champs. So we'll say 42, 43, somewhere in there. I lost track too.
Well, those numbers are mind-boggling no matter how you got them. It's just incredible, man. But like I say, it's an honor to meet you. You're the man of honor for this event. So cool to see you, man. So cool to see that you're doing well, having fun on the bikes with all your old buddies and stuff, man. So thank you very much for chatting with us, and good luck with everything, and I hope to see you soon.
It was my pleasure to chat with you, and I hope that I can continue to be an ambassador for this great sport.
Awesome.